Welcome to our webinar for this month, Investigating Authoring Tools. We've had a lot of discussions in some of our past webinars about different tools that you can use, but one of the ones that we have not really discussed as in-depth is what an authoring tool is. And this is different from a learning management system because this allows us to create training that is really robust and can have some detailed interaction. So today we're going to look at different tools that you can utilize. One of the biggest things though that you want to keep in mind is regardless of the tools that we're going to be talking about, you always want to check with your local communication squadron and even your instructional technology unit if you have one at your location to see what they offer and also what's approved on the Air Force network. So let's look at what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be focusing on defining authoring tools, what they are exactly, and how they differ from a learning management system. We're going to look at the different types because there are several different types. Also, how do they work? Some essential features. Also, how to choose the right tool for your situation. And then finally, we're going to examine some top tools that are used in the instructional design industry. So let's get started. Defining authoring tools. So it's definitely more than a Word document. Actually, an e-learning authoring tool is very closely aligned with PowerPoint slides, depending on the program that you're utilizing. So as you can see here, an e-learning authoring tool is a software program that enables users to create learning content, lessons, and courses using text, media, and interactions. So this is mainly content that is developed to be used in an LMS, and it can be saved in various formats. However, not just a learning management system. A lot of times you're going to see some of the content that's developed in a course authoring tool. It can also be posted on public websites. It can be posted on just a standalone server. So these tools that you can utilize can be published in a variety of ways and for a variety of uses. Digital training content includes, but is not limited to, e-courses, video lectures, assessments, and simulations. Your tools are going to have a narrow focus, so or actually some of your tools are going to have a narrow focus. So some may only be creating quizzes. Some may actually not have as many of the features that you're looking for. So as we look later in the section, we're going to be talking about what considerations you want to take. So keep all of these in the back of your mind as we're going through. In most cases, we call it an authoring tool because it is a set of tools under one roof that covers most of the tasks instructional designers could possibly need to deal with. So as instructional designers, we are responsible for taking that information and content we're given by subject matter experts and molding it into a way that is usable, that can be that users can learn from, that allows us to interact with content, make it engaging, and then also assess that knowledge. So how do they work? So the functionality of the tool is really dependent on the one you choose. There are several that are created by different software companies. So for example, you have Adobe, who makes Captivate. You have Articulate, who makes Storyline and Rise. You have TechSmith, who is responsible for making Camtasia. Then you have Triventus, who makes Lectora. So you have a lot of different companies who are producing these different tools. So it really is dependent on what types of functionalities that you are looking for. There are a lot of different options, and a lot of them are developed to really cater to different e-learning needs, because as most of you know, there are a lot of different requirements for our courses, and it's really dependent on the AFSC that you're developing for and the learning outcomes. Most authoring tools maintain a slide-based course structure. That's why I said if you are familiar with PowerPoint, it's gonna be a kind of a lateral transition to creating these e-learning tools. So those, as we're talking about the different types later in the session, you're going to see that I'm going to be talking about a PowerPoint-based tool and how those are probably your best bet if you're new to e-learning. You can create as many slides in a slide-based course structure as you need, and you fill them with text, images, and animations. So depending on the tool, you can also add interactive elements such as quizzes, video, or drag and drop tests. That's where your interactivity comes in and why they are just that one step up from creating a PowerPoint. Now, in a regular PowerPoint, you can actually create some really rudimentary interaction by using your hyperlink functions. However, where your e-learning tools are a little bit different is that you can actually program in these triggers, and a lot of your interactions are going to be to a higher level. So your PowerPoint is very baseline, foundational. It's not a whole lot of animation. You're going to get a lot more options when using these course authoring tools. The key idea behind using authoring tools is making it possible for ordinary computer users to create a professional e-learning content. So these are geared towards those people who are not computer programmers. I know I'm not. I know some basic HTML, but that's it. I am not a programmer. So these are designed for people who have basic computer skills. And it allows you to really take that information that you are designing using your instructional design skill set and then applying it into this medium. In the early days of e-learning, the development of e-courses was time-consuming and extremely cumbersome because the simplest combination of text, images, and quiz required the participation of programmers and designers. So these e-learning companies have actually taken that guesswork out of it, and they've added that programming into the system for you. So once you put that information in, that's how these programs work, is that they have that programming for you, and it allows the coding to work in conjunction with the content that you put into the system. So you can now create some awesome interactions, which previously would have demanded programming skills and hours of work, and you can do it in a few clicks.
So let's look at the different types, because a lot of us just know the types that were presented when we go and talk to our local ITU. However, there are several types that are out there on the market. There are four basic types of your course authoring tools. You have your standalone, which is they're specifically designed for e-learning development. You have your PowerPoint based. So this literally allows you to build your content in PowerPoint, which is a format that you're used to, and then turn it into your e-learning. It's like magic. Then you have cloud-based. This actually allows you to create content in a web style content. So it allows you to actually build it in a browser. And then finally, you have your highly specialized. So this isn't something that you would be able to build like a full course by itself. It's generally used more as a complementary item to add additional tools into your major, or add additional features into your major authoring tool. So we're going to break down and look at each of these more granularly. Okay, so your standalone, just as Photoshop was created as a graphics editor, a standalone authoring tool is specifically designed for e-learning development. These tools do take some time to master. So you might need some preliminary training to get started and some basic programming skills to create some custom interactions. The cool thing is that a lot of these standalone tools on the market actually have some really nice templates that you can utilize. Also, there are some external companies that offer templates that you can integrate into a lot of these tools. Probably the most popular and one that I'm told that a lot of the ITUs use is eLearning Brothers. So they're an additional license or subscription that you can get, and you can use a lot of their templates and graphics and people cutouts or character cutouts. So if you are ready or you've utilized some of this on a basic scale, then this would be a great tool for you. They do provide you with unlimited flexibility and a freedom to create unique training content. So for example, the latest release of Adobe Captivate lets users experiment with creating virtual reality learning content, such as virtual tours or advanced safety drills. This is really a best fit for your e-learning developers who work with multiple customers and need to create different types of learning content. So for example, if you are a course developer and maybe you're working with different AFSCs or different career fields, so you have different needs for each of those courses, this would be a good fit because it would allow you to tailor what you need to create for each of those career fields. They are also good for large e-learning departments with complex tasks. So again, different types of courses, various mechanics, and so on. It's also good for experienced e-learning developers who need to create original customized items from scratch. That is definitely something that we have a need for in tech training because the tech training environment is really kind of a small area that is very unique and doesn't really align with those categories of, like K2 through 12, higher ed, or even in corporate training. We are more vocational. And so there's not, and that really makes us different to where we have to have our own content that we build. Also, a lot of our content might be classified, so we have to really be careful because of the security measures. So your tools that fall in this category: Adobe Captivate, the Articulate 360 suite, and Lectora Inspire. So those three I've actually heard are probably the most used across the Air Force in terms of creating content. So let's go to our next category. So this is PowerPoint based, and your PowerPoint base is a class of e-learning tools that work as add-ins to PowerPoint. So these tools, you can quickly turn existing PowerPoint presentations into e-learning courses. So you can essentially build the content on your PowerPoint, and then these programs do the work for you in the conversion process. A big advantage of these solutions is it's familiar. Goodness knows, we use PowerPoint in the military. We are very well versed in building bullets. We're well versed in, a lot of people are really good at the animations and transitions. So the PowerPoint based solutions would be really good if you're a little apprehensive about really diving deep into those standalones, complex systems. Maybe start kind of wading in using the PowerPoint based, and then you can transfer over to the more complex ones. Add-ins enhance PowerPoint's basic functionality with special e-learning features. So a lot of these have those interactive quizzes. You can record video lectures and dialogue simulations. It's also powerful enough to meet most authoring tasks, but it doesn't have a huge learning curve. So that makes it a good choice if you are doing some rapid authoring. And we've all been in that situation, especially with COVID, where we're having to rapidly put our content into the online environment. So this is best fit for teams who need to have content done quickly, like yesterday, companies that use in-house experts for creating content. So in-house experts would be you all in your curriculum development sections. It's also good for smaller companies that don't have dedicated specialists for developing and designing e-courses. So if your primary job is to develop just your basic curriculum, looking for a PowerPoint-based program would be probably a great way to spend your money. Some of these are the iSpring suite, which actually is really well known for integrating in with PowerPoint, Adobe Presenter, the Studio 360, which is part of the larger Articulate 360 toolkit. So if you purchase Articulate 360, it actually has you download the Studio 360 app, and it will automatically load as part of your PowerPoint. So it's really nice because it just adds new icons into your existing PowerPoint program. And just remember, anything that's that you have to download on a government computer, you definitely need to go through your Comm Squadron and do a SIPS request and get it all approved. And while it can be complicated, if this is something you're looking to do, it's definitely worth it. So our next category are cloud-based tools. So your cloud-based tools are best for teams who have many authors and need collaboration and review features. Oh, we had a lot of people get kicked out. So these are, review features are something that we don't see as much. So I think this would be really good to kind of work if you're working as a team and you really want other members of your team to see what you're working on. It's also good for teams who need better work flexibility. I have found that some of these cloud-based type tools do not play well with the AFNet. So you have to be aware of what your capabilities are and maybe even try them out on your network before you go in there, before you spend the money to or make that investment. The tools that fall in this category are Articulate Rise, which is also part of the Articulate 360 suite, which Articulate Rise is accessible on the AFNet. It's not as robust as, say, using Storyline, but it's a cool little slide type of tool. And it also kind of reminds me when the slides transition, if you've ever used Prezi, the slides kind of do that kind of transition rather than your traditional slide. Okay, a couple other are Elucidot, Domo Learning, Lectora Online, and then H5P. I will be talking about H5P a little more extensively here. That's going to be the surprise one at the end. That's your free tool. Welcome back to everybody coming back in. Did we have some network issues where people kicked out? Is that what happened? One of the downfalls of DCS on the AFNet is it's kind of persnickety, as my mom used to say. Okay, so finally, our highly specialized. These are your tools that are more complementary. This is for situations when you need to create a certain training format and using an additional tool to make the authoring process easier. So Camtasia is probably the most popular. This is really helpful if maybe you've done lecture videos and you have to do editing. We like to use Camtasia in the faculty development flight. Actually, Frank and Brittany have made a couple of really cool videos for using Blackboard Collaborate using Camtasia. And with Camtasia, you can add in you can create your closed captioning, you can create quizzes, and then if you do that, then you can add them into your authoring tool if maybe that functionality isn't available. Twine is another video editing website. It doesn't look to be as robust as, say, Camtasia, but it does look to be another good option. Dreamweaver is actually a website authoring tool, or a lot of coders will use it for web authoring. And it can be used if maybe you need to help convert. Maybe one thing I've heard it's being used for as a long workaround is maybe if your course is currently in Flash and you're trying to convert it to HTML5, but you don't have the original program, when you need to change the sourcing codes, Dreamweaver can be used as a way to help change the formats. But it's quite a complicated process and way beyond my skill set, so I cannot totally give you some. I have people that you can call for that. So we'll just put it that way. All right. So let's go into looking at some of your essential features. So there's about 10 essential features that you want to look for on your course authoring tools. First, you want to look at content authoring. Because the core feature of any authoring tool is the ability to create lessons. So this includes adding and editing slides, the ability to add images, text, video, audio, or any other screen elements. It's really important to be able to add a lot of the audio, because if you are trying to make your courses accessible, a lot of times you're going to need to do some sort of narration. So having that audio capability is really going to enhance it. It will also help bring your course to life and represents what the learner will be seeing, hearing, and doing. You also want to be able to add or import images and edit images. Your audio you should be able to edit your audio too. So a lot of programs allow you to cut audio. So maybe if you have a lot of ums when you were narrating, or maybe there's some background noise, a lot of these authoring tools will allow you to actually edit those sound bites directly within the software. The same thing with video. So if you did maybe a recorded lecture or a screencast, you would be able to edit that video right within that tool. Any kind of animation, so we're talking like transitions, you want to animate, maybe you want a picture to be spinning on the screen, or you want to actually have something fly in. All those animations would be some of those content authoring features. Formatting, being able to format your content is also something that you want to consider. So the next one is interactivity. The biggest thing with course authoring tools is being able to create interactivity with your course. So you want to make sure that that feature is available, because e-learning only engages the learner if there is some sort of way for them to actively participate, and having those interactive features really helps. It can also increase learner engagement and enable the learner to take more of an active role. If you've been through EIDL, that's one of our 3 things that we talk about is student to content. So you want to have that student to content interaction so that they can actually feel like they're being part of that course. It also allows your students to take a more active role. For example, one of the interactions that I did in one of the modules I created is I actually put live links and allowed them to click on the links and then go, and they could go to websites that were external to the content. Now it could make it a little difficult if those URLs change, but this was at least an an option for learners to go out and research more about the topic if they wanted to. You can also create interactive maps where if they click on the map, it brings up information rather than them just reading information and trying to locate it on a static picture. There are some major features that actually improve interactivity. So you have drag and drop, matching, hotspot reveal, sliders, and dials are usually built-in activities. You can create custom activities or games. So a lot of these programs are going to have templates, but it does also give you the option to create things that are very personalized to the content. You can also create interactions or character scenarios with on-screen objects or images using layers, states, triggers, pop-ups, variables, markers, buttons, I mean, all of them. I like to throw in like everything, and I've utilized all of these options to really create some interactive content because it makes it fun. I try and my rule is I want to do what I haven't seen in CBTs I've taken. The other thing that you want to see and is available is templates and themes. Oh my goodness, templates are probably the best thing ever because especially if you are a novice to creating e-learning, having those templates will at least give you the framework for what you can start. And a lot of times the templates will already have interactions built in. So if you choose a template that you want something to pop up or it has a drag and drop, a lot of times if you're still new with building triggers, these templates will have them built in. So then you can learn how to build them by modeling what's already been built by the company. The other thing is if you're looking for a consistent theme, you can actually choose themes for your software because that's one thing that you really want to ensure when you're designing these courses is a consistent flow and a consistent theme helps to create that continuity. If you have a bunch of different slides that don't feel like they go together, it can be distracting and make your course feel disjointed. So being able to customize your theme or having themes that go is really important, kind of like a slide presentation. You'll notice as I go through my slides here that even if it's not the same picture, the color scheme and the theme of the presentation all go with one another. So it creates that continuity. You'll also find after you start creating e-learning for a little bit, if you do build PowerPoint presentations, they start to mimic e-learning content. It's kind of funny. I've noticed that. Content management. You want something that's going to allow you to organize your assets, media, and other content. So a lot of these will kind of have like a content management area, almost like a holding area where you can store your media. So then you can, if maybe you're using a picture that you want to use later, you can just pull it from your content area. It also enables you to stay in control of all the tools and resources you need during the development of your e-learning, so you're not having to constantly go back to things stored on your computer. So it allows you to reuse things, everything's kind of in the same place. So that way you're not having to waste time going to search for different resources. So it makes it really nice. When I was building it, what I would do is I would locate the pictures that I was using in my content and I would store it all into my resource area or my content management area. And then that way, when I would get to the area I wanted to use them, I was able to pull directly from that content management rather than trying to find where I downloaded it onto my computer. The other thing that you want to look at is collaboration. There's a lot of times where e-learning development involves different people. So there's going to be a review process. That's actually an important element in instructional design, especially when it comes to e-learning, especially if maybe you're not the SME and you are designing something for a stakeholder that this is their bread and butter and they are the subject matter expert. And you want to make sure that you have a clear picture of what their vision is. Having these review features really helps where you can send that content to your I would say quote unquote your client, and have them review the content before you publish it. And that way you can go back in and edit your content to meet what they want. So if they have suggestions, if they have feedback, and a lot of times you can do this all virtually. So you can just send them a link, they can do comments on additional slides, and then you can receive that feedback instantaneously. You also definitely want assessments. We've got to measure knowledge, right? So having the ability to build quizzes, course assessments, and that scoring is definitely a feature that helps you ensure that your learner has retained the course, enable a way to track achievement and progress, and also helps to determine whether the course is effective or not. Because we've seen a lot of CBTs where you're like, I don't remember any of that. So if our students aren't retaining the information, is it really effective? Okay, the other thing, and this has become something that's been kind of become more high visibility, is accessibility. So, and this isn't just making sure that people can get to the content, this is making sure that your content is viewable by anybody with whether they have a disability, visible disability or not. So a lot of these programs are going to take the guesswork out of what is required for your accessibility. So a lot of them will have certain things built in, like being able to tag your photos so you can title them, allowing you to add closed captioning, keyboard accessible navigation, accessible fonts, your custom tab order. So when we talk about custom tab order, it'll let you program what you want your tabs to look like, so it's easy for those with either vision impaired are able to access them. Skipping navigation, language ID for screen readers, and also a translation file export, because you might have those learners who where English is their second language, or they don't speak English. So you want to be able to have something that will translate it for them. Publishing is another one. Every organization has its own specific publishing requirements. And right now, with our transition from ADLS to Moodle, we're finding that, we want to make sure that our files that are being transitioned from ADLS into this new learning management system are compatible. And so that, what I'm seeing a lot of is where people are having to convert their packages into a different format. So you want to make sure that your stuff is going to be able to be either republished or converted into a format that's going to be compatible with whatever system that you're going to be housing it in. The most current formats, HTML5, that's probably going to be your safest bet if you are going to be publishing for a learning management system. Whether it's Blackboard or Moodle or Canvas, they all accept HTML5. Flash, I do not recommend doing anything in Flash anytime in the near future, because Flash is going away December 31st of 2020. So you'll see already, just like with DCS, things are being converted and Flash is going away. Making sure that it has compliance standards, so SCORM, XAPI, AICC, those are the three things that you're going to see if you're doing compliance training, and it allows you to track progress. So that's a lot of those formats that are being loaded for Moodle so that people can get their compliance training done, and then the unit training managers can go in and track that it's been completed. All right, administration. This is having the flexibility to set up preferences and organize the workflow. It also enables everyone to work in their own style. So you want to be able to ensure that everyone that's using the software is able to do it in a way that they're most comfortable with. It lets the user set up the settings in the way that they want. Certain things can be language settings, a flexible workspace. So for example, Storyline allows you to move your windows around. So you can either dock your panels so they're stationary and in one place, or you can undock them and move them around your screen. It really is based on personal preference. Auto recovery is super important, especially when we get kicked out of the network. Also, roles and permissions and single sign-on for security are some of your different administration features. All right, so finally is support and training. This is especially important if you are a novice and if you're an expert in e-learning, but you've never used the tool, having training available is really important. For example, I'm really well versed in using Storyline, but from what I understand, Captivate is kind of the company standard for the Air Force. So if I were to go to somewhere where I would have to use Captivate, it would take some time for me to learn it. I mean, maybe not as long as someone who's never used e-learning because their interfaces are pretty similar, but I would still have to learn the functionalities that are specific to that course authoring tool. So you want to look for a company that's going to provide or has not just training, but a good community for support. I know the Articulate community is fantastic. So if you've ever heard of e-learning course heroes or course e-learning heroes, it's one of the two. They have fantastic community. I've learned so much just by typing in a question, and it'll take you through and people answer your questions. From what I understand, Captivate has a very good community because it's such a popular software. So you can go and find and answer questions within their community. Lectora, I'm not sure how robust their community is, but I do know for sure that Storyline and Captivate, because they're the two most popular, have pretty good community support. Okay, so going through all that, how do you choose? What are some considerations? There are several, because it can seem overwhelming when you're going through and trying to figure out what is the best. So I would make a list when you're going shopping or you're meeting with different organizations and you are or you're seeing demonstrations, because they always pull out the best tools and bells and whistles when they're doing a demo. So you really want to have a wish list of what exactly it is that you're looking for. One of the main considerations is cost. You have to look out the pricing structure is and really see what your budget is. Some of the pricing structures might be out of your budget, and you really want to make sure that based on the cost, that the features that you want are part of that. You also want to look at customer support, because when things go wrong, customer support is going to be your best asset. So you really want to look at how the tool supports you during your free trial, test the support to see how responsive the tool really is. I highly recommend, if you're shopping a tool, all of these tools have free trials. So if this is something that you're looking at investing in for your organization, take the time to go through the free trial and try out the tool. Let those people that'll be using it try out the tool, and then they can give feedback. The other thing is documentation, guides, and knowledge base. If you need information, you want to know where to go and that it's easily accessible. I was talking about those communities. One thing that Articulate has is that they have user guides. Now they're digital, but they have user guides for each of their different products. So for each iteration of their product and their different versions, you can go in and actually get step-by-step guides on how to do things. So having that is really, really valuable. You also want to look at what your must-have features are. So we just went through that list of 10. And so you want to, thinking back on those features, you really want to think about what your must-haves are versus your nice-to-have. So if you must have, content authoring and assessments and, the ability to publish in a certain format, those are your must-haves. So whatever tool that you're looking for has to have that on their features list. Where your nice-to-haves might be the collaboration aspect, where you can collaborate rather than just sending someone the file. So really think about what features you want. What are your requirements? We hear that term a lot when people are asking what we want, but understanding what your requirements are to really be able to fully utilize that tool is so important when you are deciding which avenue to go. Finally, ease of use. You want an authoring tool should help you make content quickly and not slow you down. So you want to make sure that you find a solution that is easy to use and easy to learn. So if you are going down the route of finding a tool and you have a group that is maybe not very well versed in creating e-learning, you probably want to find a tool that is going to be more intuitive and easy to learn. So that is definitely a consideration that you're going to want to take when you are making that decision. Okay, so let's explore some top tools. Some of our favorites are Articulate Storyline, Articulate Rise, Lectora, Captivate, Camtasia, and then we're going to look at H5P. So Articulate Storyline. This is one of the most well-known and quickly becoming one of the most popular. Usually you're going to see a lot of comparisons between Articulate Storyline and Adobe Captivate. I have a love relationship with Articulate Storyline simply because I just feel it is so easy to use and it's pretty. So it has a lot of powerful features. It allows you to storyboard your courses and then dictates the path that your learners take. So it really gives you this overview and shows you kind of a hierarchical diagram. Almost looks like a flow chart, really, of how your course is going to flow. It does take a little bit of time to get kind of familiarized with it, but it does not take long. I literally bought a book for Articulate Storyline and I learned to use it in 2 days and was able to start building courses. And the more you use it, the more that you're going to get familiar with it. It is pretty pricey though. So let's look at the strengths and weaknesses. There's good flexibility and control in terms of content output. It's a commonly used tool, so there's a lot of designers that tend to have experience. Also, they have a very active online community. You can quite literally go onto their community and type in a question and find a vast amount of answers to whatever you're looking for. Also, they're reasonably powerful. So they allow you to really try and test software simulation e-learning capabilities. So what that means is it allows you to create activities that integrate demonstration, allowing people to try it, and then assessing the learners. Some of their downfalls: they're not truly mobile responsive. It really just shrinks the screen. Whereas when we're talking responsive, it'll actually reformat the content so it's more visible on a mobile device. It's a more traditional linear design compared to some more modern authoring tools. Collaboration content updates can be time consuming. If there is a new update, it does take a while to load and your computer is going to be pretty much kind of incapacitated by that update. It can be very, very expensive. It's about $1,300 just for one license for the Articulate 360 suite. So you're going to want to be able to scale that content. And it has poor screen reader functionality. Articulate Rise is another one, and this is one of our cloud-based web authoring tools. Where it's really cool is that it is web-based and it uses blocks to allow you to build up like simple linear courses by just dropping in your content. So you can literally drag and drop pictures into it, drag and drop text. Very simple to use. So it's incredibly intuitive. It's really easy to create content quickly, and it's very good looking. Like it's a very appealing interface. Screencasting is available in it. And again, it's cloud-based, so it's easy to update, collaborate, and review. And I have found that you can access this on the AFNet. Some of the weaknesses, the content can look very generic. Unlike with Storyline, where you can manipulate the backgrounds with pictures and colors, Rise does not allow you to do that. So the background is all white. The course title is kind of like up in the corner. So there's not really a whole lot of flexibility if you want to personalize that aspect of it. There's no translation management, and it's lacking in accessibility options. There's also storage limitations in place. So let's go to the popular kid on the block, which is Adobe Captivate. Again, this is the one that you will see a lot of the ITUs utilize. I was just speaking with someone from our QFlight ITU yesterday, and this is what they use. They're very well versed in it. So if you are looking to purchase this, going to your local ITU, or if you don't have an ITU at your location, seek out an ITU at another base and possibly pick their brains on what they like about the software. It's a desktop application available for both Windows and Mac. So Adobe Captivate and Articulate Storyline are applications that you have to download on your desktop. So you can only use that software on whatever computer you download it on. A lot of them have probably 2 licenses, or 2 where you can load on 2 computers per license. So, but you want to make sure that whatever computer you load it on is one that you use frequently and that you want to actually develop your content on. It is one of the most powerful authoring tools on the market, but its learning curve is really steep. So, and a lot of people who are well versed in Adobe and e-learning though like it because it can produce some complex interactions. If you want to provide your students with an extensive mobile learning experience, incorporate VR features, or create software simulations, this is a really good software for that. Some of its strengths: it's able to produce complex interactions if you know how. The output can be location aware, which means that you can actually hook into the device's geolocation capability. So it'll adapt, if maybe you're on the East Coast and then you move to the West Coast, it'll identify that. The interactivity output can recognize a common mobile device. So like if they're doing like a pinch and zoom or a swipe, it'll adapt to that. So it's truly mobile responsive. The accelerometer-based interactions types, which means that it's going to be like a lot faster. So you want to make sure that you understand how to build those, whereas Storyline, it's just based on a lot of triggers. It's good for screen recording and simulations, and you have the ability to create virtual reality learning experiences. Again, steep learning curve, limitations of a desktop tool. So it's challenging collaboration, review, and version control. So basically, if that package is stored on it's going to be downloaded on someone's computer. Well, if that person leaves, kind of difficult to get that. So you want to make sure that you have a good backup system for where those packages are going to be stored. Tradition linear style design compared to more modern authoring tools. So this is where Storyline and Captivate are very similar. And it is a painful process to update and maintain existing content. So Lectora Inspire and Lectora Online, I only heard about these recently, but I was unaware that it's actually pretty widely used across the Air Force. I'm seeing a lot of questions on it. It's actually what they call an elder statesman. It's been around for quite a while, and it's one of the probably one of the I will say, oldest course authoring tools on the market. It is a Windows desktop authoring tool, and they have now released a cloud-based HTML5 version of the authoring tool called Lectora Online. So from what I've read, this one has a little bit more flexibility, and it can be powerful when you know how to use it. It does have a steep learning curve, though, just like with Captivate. It allows extensive customization versus programming code. And because of its extensibility, it requires developers to be well trained. So if you are not very good or not well versed in coding, this may not be the tool for you. So some of the strengths: free access to eLearning Brothers graphic libraries. It's good for screen capture and simulations. Has an online reviewer collaboration tool using a review link. You can import PowerPoint, although it's worth considering if you want to convert some existing PowerPoints that you've already created. And it's responsive authoring for e-learning. So just like with Captivate, it works with your phone's response actions. Again, steep learning curve with limited support. The interface is not user-friendly, intuitive, or easy to use. According to online reviews, their customer support is a bit slow and not very helpful. So remember, we talked about one of the main things with your features is you want good customer support. And then there are a lot of advanced features that are not 508 compliant. All right, Camtasia. This is one of our highly specialized tools, and this is a video capture tool. Its content can be exported as SCORM packages, and it's definitely an option if you want to jazz up some of your PowerPoint presentations, because you can record narration and even your face simultaneously if you want that. It allows for a simple way to not only edit your imported video, but also capture video from your webcam and screencast even at the same time. And you can also develop a video built from their assets and include a quizzing feature for knowledge checks within the video. So that's super cool. Some of its strengths: has advanced editing features, the ability to add graphic overlays like logos, green screen capabilities. So if you want to look like you're flying in space while you're doing your lecture, you can do that. And lots of editing options that allow for you to easily adjust size, space, timing, etc. Some of its weaknesses: limited cross capability with different versions. So Camtasia is another one of those where you load it onto your computer. And so if once you have it, you own it. But I know one thing that we experience in faculty development is that because of our network limitations, we don't always get the updates. And so maybe some of the things that are being updated or added to the program, we don't get. It's not very intuitive. There's some editing features that are a bit challenging to figure out, such as like transitions and animations. But Camtasia, which is produced by TechSmith has a great website with a lot of videos that teach you how to do all of this. Also, if you have access to LinkedIn Learning, there's a lot of tutorials on there that will teach you how to use it. All right. So the final tool, and then we are almost done. I think we started a little bit late, so we're going a little bit over. H5P. It stands for HTML5 package. This is a really cool, free, open source e-learning authoring tool. It's ideal for one-off projects or content experimentation. If you go to h5p.org, you can see and test out some of the functionalities of it. It's made possible by MIT, which is why it is free. It is a plugin tool. It helps produce and run interactive content and interactive video with your LMS or other kinds of e-learning browsers. So you definitely need to, you will need to have some sort of network or platform to host it on. So unlike your other course authoring tools that we talked about today, you have to have some place to host it, whereas the other ones are kind of standalone and you just upload the package. It's used by more than 17,000 websites, and the whole idea behind it is to make creating and sharing any kind of HTML5 content as easy and seamless as possible. So all you need is an up-to-date browser and LMS with a free H5P plugin. Here is the beauty. If you didn't already know, AETC is moving to use Moodle as their enterprise blended learning solution. So we're going to be moving from Blackboard to Moodle. H5P is already a free plugin that comes with the Moodle platform. So this is something that will already come with that LMS in it. And so you can build interactive quizzes, slides, videos, things like that. It's pretty cool. So strengths, I did mention it's free, right? Yeah, free, open source. It's awesome. Very easy to use. I've already played around with it and it was easy to just build a quick drag and drop quiz and that loads right into the LMS. You can actually, if you're using Blackboard, you can take this and embed it into Blackboard or Canvas. So it doesn't have to be Moodle as long as that LMS has a plugin or an LTI for H5P, you can utilize it within any LMS that you want. It's easy to get started. You just need an email address, and it offers more than 20 course architectures. Some of the downfalls, you get what you pay for. So it doesn't offer the versatility of other paid tools. You cannot import PowerPoints into it to adapt them like the other tools. There's no preview option. So once you publish, that's it. Also, no webcam or screen recording and no survey tool or customization. So again, it's free, but with free comes some limitations. However, if you are just trying to dip your toe in the water for content authoring, or you really don't have the budget right now to dedicate to like one of these more powerful tools we talked about, this is a great place to start. And it kind of gets you comfortable with using interfaces that are course authoring tools. Again, you might have to compromise a lot if there's certain features that you want, because there's a lot that they don't have. It's really bare bones, really basic interaction, but it is great if that's something you are looking for. Okay, so, and the other thing is it is accessible on the AFNet, obviously, because it'll be part of Moodle and part of that learning management system that we will be getting. So that is all I have. I know I've thrown a lot of information at you. Unfortunately, I started the recording on talking about how they work. So if anybody wants these slides, they are downloaded into a PDF file, so I can send them to you. I will also be sending out a Google Doc link to my notes, and it's essentially an outline of everything I talked about today and provides more extensive information. So everyone that's registered will be getting a link to the Google Doc, and I will send out the slides as well. All right, so are there any questions that y'all have? Again, a lot of information. I know a little bit over. Getting into your lunch hour here. Oh, you are so welcome. I know a couple of you got kicked out, but again, this is recording, so I will also send out the link for the recording. A lot of the links to the actual websites for the software I talked about are also in this document that I'll be sending out. Oh, you are very welcome. I always like providing goodies, so. Because sharing is caring, right? Care Bears. I am a Care Bear, yes. Oh, Karen, I have a love of the Articulate suite too. We'll have to have a conversation and do some cross flow sharing. I'm all about Articulate suite. It's just so expensive. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. But if you want to stay in and you have other questions, please